We're only 3 weeks away from playoffs, so clumps be damned, it's time to break away if you want a shot at the title. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the LCS Countdown, where for 30 minutes... What is that music playing? Do you guys hear that music?
Yeah, what?
Can we get somebody... everyone should know that the show is live at this point, guys. We need to... Joel, if you wouldn't mind, can you go track that music down and just have... You know what? I'm gonna go figure this out myself. I'll be right back.
Can't trust anyone around here, James.
And he's just gone.
Let's try this again. We're only 3 weeks away from playoffs, so clumps be damned, it's time to break away if you want a shot at the title. Game 1, we have CLG versus Golden Guardians, where Contracts and Hanser have their game faces on. We'll see them load up on the stage in just a few moments.
That was awesome.
Loving that game face, stone-faced. Hello, everyone. We're back with a fully loaded analyst desk. This time, we've added Mr. Alberto Crumbs Rengifo back into the LCS family alongside Hai Lam and Mark Zimmerman. How you doing, dude?
Dude, I'm great. I have missed a few games, but it looks like the Fiesta has not...
The Fiesta has not left North America. Have no fear.
I just missed the State Farm analyst closet when we were in that little tiny desk.
There's so much room for activity.
There's so much extra space. I can do this and not punch you in the face.
Those good times, though. That was good times.
That was some
fun
nostalgia.
times. All right, well, the standings going into Week 7 tell a clear tale. There's a definite top 3, and the remaining 7 teams continue to trade blows. Today, we'll see how much that stays the same, as Cloud9 has an opportunity to claim a share of first with Team Liquid in the second game of the day. That's a big one. Important to note, regardless of that game's result, Team Liquid has 100% locked the first spot in playoffs and now play for seeding alone. We'll see who can push ahead with the games today. The day starts with Golden Guardians versus Counterlogic Gaming, followed by the bout for first place, Cloud9 and Team Liquid. 3 more matches before we finish out the day. As for the rest of the squads, though, trading blows rather underneath that top 3, the race to be the cream of the clump grows tighter and tighter, as anyone can take hold of a playoff spot. So Kobe wanted to give us a quick recap on the game of clumps.
Thank you, Dash. The kingdoms have been warring, and a lot of blood has been shed. But it's important to remember that any kingdom can seize the throne. In the upper clump, we have FlyQuest. After losing 5 battles in a row, they've been pushed beyond the wall, where once they proudly sat in second. This taste of blood is still in their lips, though, and they will do anything to get that spot back. If there's something that we know about the North, it's that the North remembers. As FlyQuest battle with long-standing nations CLG and Golden Guardians, it is important to remember that the bottom clump is dark and full of terrors. Specifically, Echo Fox and Clutch have entered the conversation after a very close, almost brother-sister relationship in the offseason, where they exchanged familiar faces between their kingdoms. And specifically for Clutch, even though they're off isolated here in a cold, lonely island, we must be wary because they have made it clear they're willing to pay the iron price to get a win. In the end, only 3 kingdoms will survive, so choose your allegiances carefully.
Thank you very much, Kobe. This week, we did see teams making some changes to get out of Clumsteros. In particular, CLG, a couple roster moves.
Yeah, restructuring the hierarchy. I don't know. I don't watch Game of Thrones. I can't try and tie it up.
You were the wrong person for me to turn to then in that moment.
Yeah, I shouldn't have taken that one. But yeah, some roster change for CLG. Wiggly out, Moon back in, as well as Otto taking Stixay's spot for this week, which I think is the bigger change for me.
Well, they just needed to have some sort of strategy, some decision-making, because they were taking so long to make any moves that hopefully you bring in these new guys to say, you know what, we'll step up, we'll decide what to do.
Right, and the last time we saw Moon, he played well too, and I'm excited to see if Otto is going to be able to step up to the plate. Granted, that plate isn't that hard to fill.
Oh, jeez. The thing about Otto is he's been with CLG's organization now on Black and Academy for, I think, around 3-ish years. So
quite a while.
It feels like a long time coming for him to finally get a shot when it really matters. Because I think he might have played last year in Week 9, but this is when they're actually in the playoff hunt.
And the question is, is Week 7 the right time to be making change? That will forever be the question, and we'll have our answer later today as well. 100 Thieves making a roster change in the mid lane. Huhi out.
This is something I think a lot of fans were looking for, to have a change. He was one of the guys receiving the most flack from the community. And Soligo, he's a bit of an unknown for a lot of people. He was in scouting grounds, and he was on the winning team Mountain Drake. I think he was taken pretty late, but I can't remember. Either way, he impressed a lot of people there.
Right.
And I think he's someone who has a bright future. It's just this is not the preferred starting position to come into the league.
Well, I think the team really needs this. I mean, Huhi was feeling so lonely, literally saying, I felt so lonely that last game, that the fact that you now get to step back, see how the team does without you, you can go back into it, refresh, will help him a lot.
Right. I think it's more of a change of pace rather than like a mechanical upgrade or anything like that. I don't think Soligo is necessarily better than Huhi, but it brings a new blood into the team and gives them that euphoric feeling of like a honeymoon.
Right.
But sometimes that's enough for a team to come bouncing back, right?
Because it didn't necessarily feel like a personnel issue per se, more of a whole team-wide issue. But yes, changing out one piece might be enough to make things gel just a bit more.
Yeah, this is a team that everyone has been kind of looking like they're dead in the water. They don't feel like they have a lot of heart. And so to High's point, maybe you just need a little bit of a blood transfusion.
You get that shake-up. Well, it's time for a commercial break. But as we go, take a listen to Cloud9's monstrous comeback win versus TSM in this week's Mic Check.
Man, I'm just saying, better EU mid always wins, so...
Is that true?
That's true. So what happened against Fnatic? Better EU mid wins.
Can I get everyone turned down?
Raise your hand if you just said that. All right.
Turn down
Everyone
what?
turn down.
It's the guy with the big lats. Can I get broke a bit higher, like 10 centimeters? Yeah, that would be nice. Got him!
That's so man.
Yeah, you got this, Eric.
I got this, guys.
Eric, you're a smurf.
Double his height, double his skill, Eric. That's what they say.
That is what they say.
They got the golden combo of the double Danes.
This is unfair.
We had the double Danes, and it wasn't very effective.
Oh, it was pretty effective. I'm not gonna lie, it was pretty
We're down 2-0 in the finals versus Team Liquid. Put in the Danes. And we brought it back to 1-3-2, right, guys?
Our Danes really pulled it out.
If anyone hits Galio just flash. We win this, Look at Matt,
I beat for Matt. I'm slowing him.
Gragas half.
Kid
Look,
Nico.
Gragas here. I'm looking. See,
Look at side.
Okay, I'm okay.
Can't we just go in him?
No.
They can do it.
No, we can talk about it.
Okay.
Come on, we finally have all the pressure now. Now we can play again. Look at Galio.
Oh,
Hey,
catch.
yeah.
No bash. I mean, no. Nice.
We're gonna try. We need to hold.
Okay.
I'm coming up. It's
They're hitting it
gonna be
now.
fine.
We're gonna need.
I'm gonna TP above. I'm TPing above.
We need Aatrox.
Yep.
I'm
Just
coming.
move in.
It's not that fast.
Darn Aatrox.
I'm still behind him.
Healing you, Matt. Kill Aatrox again.
Look here. No. Just kill Aatrox
I'm
again.
just gonna live.
I'm behind him.
Okay, we can survive here. I'm opting.
Oh.
Nice.
I can get over here. Look again.
We win.
Look at me.
Nice. Go.
Yeah, we could have it.
Into.
He has no push. He's dead, bro.
This game's so hard, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, they're just poking
I
us.
don't really know what we're supposed to do.
Victor's getting poked. Victor's getting a lot of poke.
I do not have cleanse, though. I'm hitting one time mid. Look at me. I'm not safe.
We're winning bot. Look
at me, guys. Coming. Get your flash.
We can't really look at you.
Nice. I'm coming.
I'm one.
Look at Aatrox.
I have ult here. I have ult for Aatrox. Bear's dead.
Nico's dead. Look at Varus.
Go down mid.
Good, guys.
Hit. I killed myself.
Hit. Just hit.
Go.
Hit. Yes. Let's go.
We're here with Derek, our new analyst. He's going to tell us who's going to win between Team Liquid and C9.
I definitely think Team Liquid is going to win because they're the best in the league right now, and Double Lift is such a powerhouse set. Him and Core JJ in the bot lane are definitely going to carry it.
Why do you think C9 is going to win today?
Because Niski's better than Jensen.
Works for me.
Well, C9's going to win because I think they have red side selection today, and I think Reaper is a really good coach, and I think he's going to draft something special for Licorice that's going to surprise Impact. And so I think C9's going to win through the top lane and crush TL.
My vote goes to Team Liquid. They've established a pretty dominant record. I think they'll keep it up today.
I'm going to say Team Liquid, but I'm rooting for C9 because my friend, whenever I root for the opposite team, they end up winning.
Team Liquid, because I love memes, and Paid by Steve is one of my favorite memes.
What are the chances that we can get you to change your mind about that?
Oh, no, definitely. You see this? C9 all day. C9's going to win.
Yeah, they definitely look really strong, and they're looking at their mistakes, even though they keep on winning.
All right, he's already our best analyst. Back to you guys.
I couldn't agree more, Joel. Welcome back to the LCS Countdown, where we're 17 minutes away from Game 1. Who needs you guys when I've got all those fans out there with their own analysis of the matchup?
We don't really do that much more.
You guys did at least come in suits today, so I'll give you partial credit there. When we look at that bout between Cloud9 and Team Liquid, though, you have two very different teams, each with a viable path to the title. So I'm curious to know from you guys how you would describe this matchup, how these teams differ. And in particular, I want to use analogies. So I've asked you to prepare some analogies and making them fit to Team Liquid C9. Hi, we're starting with you. What'd you bring?
Right, so my analogy is going to involve animals, and Team Liquid is like an elephant. They're freaking massive. They'll win the fight no matter what eventually. They might do it slow, but they can be destructive if you piss them off. Like, they'll smack you with that trunk really hard.
Okay.
So then for C9, they're more of a honey badger, in my opinion. They'll take any fight if necessary, and they can win those fights. And, like, they might be small, but they're a bit scrappy, and, like, I believe they can take down can a honey badger take down an elephant?
I don't know. I know honey badgers they can take down, like, snakes and some, like, disgusting.
So you can't put a honey badger out of the fight until a honey badger's gone.
Okay, interesting. So very scrappy, willing to fight anything versus the more, slow, calculated. But if you piss them off, they can be disruptive, relevant in Team Liquid. Crumbs, what do you got for me analogy-wise?
Okay, this, I believe, is a Japanese animation.
Oh, okay. We're going into animation here.
Team Liquid is Cell. So from Dragon Ball, where Cell essentially just takes what everybody else is doing that's really well, just absorbs it for their own power. So they just get Core JJ, get Impact, get Jensen, just start sucking
just absorbing players.
Absorbing everything, give me the good stuff. But on the other hand, you got Cloud9, Goku. They're always consistent. They're always going to be the same, a little bit more wholesome, always training. But they always have that X factor that you just don't know if it's going to come out at the right time. They could still get smashed, but they'll always be down to fight.
They will bounce back. All right, Mark.
I got for C9, it's Overwatch League Crumbs, and for Team Liquid, it's LCS Crumbs, and that's why I think Team Liquid's gonna win this easy, hands down.
LCS Crumbs is so much
I love LCS Crumbs, man.
All right, that's good.
That's my entire analogy.
I love it. It's good to have the profit back, and it's also important to note, analogies aside, that this could quite possibly be a preview of our spring finals here. Of course, Team Liquid got the better of C9 the first time around, but that was day one of the split. They've now had 7 weeks of work and practice to gel together, and it's going to be more exciting.
It's going to be brutal for Niski. Day one, you're back in, all right, go play against the guy who you're replacing now. That's such a tall order to have. Now, the second time around, you've played against him. Most importantly, TL has kind of cemented what they're about. You got a lot more time to prepare, and that should give you an opportunity to counter it.
Yeah, very much so. Of course, it is a contentious matchup. I know this week in the office, we've been talking back and forth about who thinks who is going to win, and it's a close, tight race in the predictions. C9 actually just coming out a vote ahead when it came to the in-office predictions for who would take it.
I think it's a little bit of recency bias in a lot of people's eyes, where they've looked very impressive. They've had a lot of big come-from-behind wins. They've had a lot
they're
of...
on a giant win streak, to be fair.
They are on a giant win streak, and I think that's why you see a lot of people interested, but I think it is a really close matchup.
So let's look at where the advantages come for each of these teams, because with 6 people voting for Cloud9 versus the 5 for TL, I want to run through the lanes and see where you guys give the advantages for each team. In perfect alignment in that top lane, heading over towards Licorice. Jungle, just a slight favorite towards Team Liquid, although Crump is giving it to Svenskeren, and I'm going to want to hear about that. Mid lane, bot lane, both going over to Team Liquid unanimously, and a little bit of a split decision in the support role. So, let's talk about that jungle advantage. Crumbs, defend for me why Svenskeren is your pick.
He likes my meme tweets a lot of the time, so I went with him.
Okay,
No, but realistically, okay, Svenskeren, he does get to have the Blabber come in every once in a while, so he does have that element of surprise that I think will play in big time, because last night, I believe, the LCK match between Griffin and SKT, I think, should show these teams a lot more versatility for how you can play around your bottom lane, engage, and I think Sven Skjern is going to be the guy to experiment with that, whereas I don't think Xmithy will be so quick to jump on the experimentation train, and I do think that that draft difference will be the key today.
Yeah, we've seen that Xmithy is seemingly comfortable jumping on Lee Sin every single
game.
time that it's open, and it's working for him, so hard to argue against it. I want to hear a response from you, Hai, on why you still give it to Xmithy over Sven Skjern.
Well, every time I watch Xmithy play, he's almost always in the right spot at the right time. You see him play Lee Sin because he's very good at Lee Sin. You see his positioning, and it's impeccable. He's always in random spots trying to like flank, and that's a really good thing to do on Lee Sin. And the only time that Team Liquid ever really like looks bad is when Xmithy falls behind. But he's so consistent that that rarely ever happens. And it's really hard to punish a jungler that doesn't make mistakes.
All right, let's talk about the top lane. Mark, that's the only category in which C9 walked away with the unanimous votes. So why is it Licorice favored?
I think it's just because he has such a breadth of champions he can play, and he does such a good job with the resources that C9 gives him. He almost always comes out ahead. And so I think he's a really strong player. We've talked about probably the best in the league, but I do think Impact is still not a terrible matchup because Impact does so well with what little resources he gets from TL, so it's about absorbing the pressure from Licorice.
And then, of course, there's that matchup that you talked about, Crumbs. Tough the first time around for Nisqy in facing off against the guy he replaced. But this time around, 7 weeks in, had a little bit more time to gel with the team. In fact, in an interview last week with Avali, he was even touting the fact that he feels they have found a bit more of an identity, and their result this time will be much better.
Well, I think you heard as well from Cloud9 how different it is playing from Jensen with Nisqy, whereas Jensen's like, I need all these resources, I need this, I need that. So Nisqy maybe's taken the role of Impact, where he takes a lot less resources, is more self-sufficient, and can allow the rest of the map shine, which, if you have an advantage top and you're trying to defend bottom lane, would be really useful if you can roam around.
Just a few thoughts from the analysts on how that matchup will shake out. Before we go, Kobe has a PSA for all league players, both in pro and solo queue. Take it away.
Thanks, Dash. Junglers are suffering right now. After having the experience from their camps nerfed over and over again, to always being the scapegoat in a losing game, it's never been tougher for the roaming league player. Right now, your jungler could be experiencing an unprecedented amount of toxicity. But you can help. Next chance you get, push up your lane. Or for as little as 1 vision ward in the river, you could lift up a jungler. The next time the enemy invades red buff, go lend a helping hand. Because your jungler can't gank if he can't even farm his own camps. And as always, listen to pings. Please, please. For all that is good, listen to pings. Do your part to shine a little light in an otherwise dark jungle. Thank you, Dash. That's all.
Welcome back, smart investors. We've got some ground to cover today, and I'm going to dive right into the middle of the clump. Let me tell you, where some people see a chaotic battle for playoff seeding, I see an ocean of deals ready to be snatched up for rock bottom prices. But hold up, which team do I buy? How much? Help! I don't want to lose my shirt. Well, that's a deeply personal question that only you can answer. You have to ask yourself, which team do you truly believe in? FlyQuest. So if you're not the gambling type, you want to have restful nights instead of anxiously pacing, worrying about your portfolio at 2 a.m., Cloud9 is the way to go. Once they get past Liquid, they've got the second easiest schedule, and that 9-game winning streak looks mighty fine on any balance sheet. And you know what they say, buy high and sell higher, baby. But you say, Uncle Rib, what if we don't have a lot of money? Well, we have a lot of faith. Well, let me tell you, then you're going to want to give CLG a look-see, easiest schedule in the final weeks, and plenty of room for that stock price to climb. Those are the few of the teams that I have my eye on. So happy trails out there, partners, and I'll catch you further down the road.
And with that advice fresh in our minds, let's see what you have planned as we enter the penultimate window for the LCS stock market. Again, here's a refresher on the current stock prices, their net change from 2 weeks ago, and of course, all of your portfolio changes over there on the right side. Looks like Kobe, with that pickup on the 12 clutch gaming stocks over the last 2 weeks, actually came out ahead in terms of his net change. Hi, you're looking pretty, though, at the top of the table. with the absolute most money in your pocket. How does that feel?
I'm not surprised, to be honest. I look at the list. I'm at the top. Mark is at the bottom.
Right.
That's about what you expect, right?
So I just got screwed the first week because I've actually made money both previous buy sessions. I just haven't made enough to make up my initial mistake.
You're below starting, though.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I lost
money.
a lot.
That's how bad his first 2 weeks were, Crumbs.
Golden Guardians
still in the hole. Still in the hole. All right, well, those were the latest results. Let's go ahead and take a look at some portfolios, or rather the league overview and a timeline chart. This is the change in value for all of the teams across the weeks.
Yeah, it's C9 and TL getting dangerously close together, which makes the matchup today, if you're able to predict this one right, you'll probably see pretty huge gains for if you took Team Liquid or C9 stock.
Yeah, no surprise, of course, that the top 3 teams are the top 3 priced teams on the list, but I think what's interesting is looking at the clump, because there is still separation. While a lot of those teams are tied standings-wise, their stock price is slightly varied, and by that logic, Optic Gaming is actually sitting as the 4th team in the league.
Yeah, and I think that makes it a little hard for people to want to go in on them, especially since I think they have a pretty hard schedule remaining. Yeah. So I think you'll probably want to stay away from them as slightly probably overvalued.
All right, well, you're the last person whose advice I'm going to take, Mark, in this game. Let's take a look at High's portfolio. He's the current front runner in the stock market. Break it down for me.
Right, so I'm at the top right now, so I didn't really feel a big necessary change needed for my portfolio. I have Team Liquid and Cloud9. Granted that they're playing each other, I believe for the rest of their games they'll do well and win. So I'll see a value return on that. And I actually have a lot of faith in Clutch Gaming, actually. They're one of the teams I believe will make it to playoffs. So I still kept my 5 stocks in them because they looked really strong in their previous games, despite throwing that perfect game that they had. If they can continue forward playing the way they are, I believe that stock will go up. So I have a lot of money onto them right now.
Yeah, they proved themselves over the last couple weeks, looking to continue to climb. Of course, you still got that one Echo Fox stock.
I'm a fan of Rush, to be honest, on that part.
I believe
he might not be playing, but
yeah, I was about to say.
But I'm still a fan.
I still like him.
All right, Mark, did you take your own advice here with your portfolio? Let's take a look.
Yeah, I stayed away from
Optic.
Yeah. My big bet this time was FlyQuest. I think they're a little undervalued. Yes, they have joined the clump, but they had a pretty hard schedule with a lot of their losses coming from teams like TL and C9. So I think they'll be able to climb. The concerning thing, as you see that kind of big slump, is if it continues. But I expect them to bounce back. They have 3 pretty easy opponents with Echo Fox, 100 Thieves, and Clutch. The hard one at the end is Team Liquid. And what's interesting about how this works, an extra little bit of nuance, is it matters where the difficult game is.
Right.
Because if they do it after they're climbing and they lose, they'll lose more than if they had lost that difficult game.
If they were to lose it now and then climb with the other 3 games.
It is a risk I'm taking a little bit. I do expect them to lose the TL at the end of the week. But I also have Team Liquid and C9 stock, so hopefully any of these losses to the other teams I'm expecting them to play get kind of netted out.
I like it, though. I like it. You're making some moves here to catch back up in the race for the LCS stock market. Crumbs, of course, you've joined us this week, so you didn't previously have a portfolio. What we did is we handed you essentially the starting amount that all of these guys started with, and you're jumping in here week 7. What'd you do?
That's right. I took Riv's advice, buy high, sell higher. TSM stock. I'm surprised he didn't mention this one. They only have a difficult match against Team Liquid at the end. I'm expecting
And they've already beat Team Liquid.
Exactly. So I'm expecting them to go all the way, basically. So I think that TSM is going to be the biggest stock here. CLG also, the little sleeper. Riv mentioned it. They have a really easy schedule as well. If they can get past Golden Guardians today, they're going to cruise by. And I have to go with Cloud9 as well. Easy schedule. That's really what this stock market is about. I'm much better at this than with my real finances.
So
what were you going to say?
I almost grabbed TSM, but I went for FlyQuest because I expect both teams to go 3-1. But FlyQuest was about 100 points cheaper. So I wanted to get a little, I could buy more of them. But it is still a very good investment.
Well, we've seen where you've put your money. Let's see where you put your predictions here for the day. And do they align? No, not quite. We got the CLG call out from Crumbs in game 1.
Oh, wait, there's a mistake. I chose C9 in TLC9.
Oh, we can get that hot swap. Just you wait. But we'll make note of that. I want to talk about the CLG. Of course, you did buy 2 of their stocks.
That's why.
Yeah, updated real
But I think a lot of people are looking at Golden Guardians CLG as 2 teams that in recent weeks have shown some signs of life and even a possibility to push towards those playoff spots. And so a very close matchup, I would say.
Right, and when I think about CLG versus Golden Guardians, the carries on those teams are basically their mid laners. And if you're going to put Power Evil versus Froggen on a hard carry, I believe that Froggen will do that better since historically he's known for that and does it really well. So The edge that GGS has over CLG is just through their mid laner.
And then, of course, you mentioned that second game of the day, split down the middle now. 2 for C9, you and StatsBot defending Team Liquid. Talk to me about that one.
I mean, we kind of covered it, but I think for me, it's that there's so many of the position advantages go to Team Liquid. Yes, they have Licorice to rely on, but I think Impact is still fighting that matchup, knowing that, like, okay, they're going to put a lot of attention at me. Hopefully, take something that scales well, even from behind, and then I think they just win the rest of the map.
Even with the hot streak for C9 recently, it's hard to argue against the team that sits atop the table. With that, 20 seconds to go. We're tossing it out to the Battle Arena to get into the games.